What's up, Jake?
Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Legacy Holders. Today, we're here and we're going to introduce some of our hosts of the Legacy Holders. I'm Tanisha, um, kind of like the starter of why we are here, and I'm surrounded by some amazing women in my life who have been part of my village, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we will talk about our first topic of redefining the village. So I'll pass it over to Rosalind.
I knew you were going to do that. Anyway, I'm Rosalind. I am born and raised Southern Texas girl. Known Miss Tanisha for, well, we've been pretty much sisters, stuck to the hip, since 2003. We're getting old, girl.
Yeah.
That's 20 plus years. But I think what really got us thinking about the whole legacy holders and legacy keepers concept was that we started out, like, we grew up and we saw a village, or we saw parts of a village in some cases. And as we've gotten older and we started having our own children, it was like, where did that village go? And we realized that it it falls on us. We're supposed to pick up that torch and pass it along. Um, so I'm just happy to be here. I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of this. Go ahead, Jari.
Hi, I'm Johari. I've known Tanisha, 16, 17 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We met under some pretty crazy circumstances, but through those circumstances, honestly, we've become some of the best of friends. Born and raised in New Orleans and also in St. Louis. I'm stuck here in Virginia. Yay. I'm happy to be a part of this legacy building village that we've become. This has been honestly one of the best times of my life. So just come on, join us for this ride that we about to be on, y'all. It's gonna be fun because we got some good old stories to tell.
I know y'all got some good stories to tell.
Girl, do it.
That's why I went and got my mug.
So I would say that majority of the people who would come on and talk to us are connected by me in some shape, form, or fashion. So I'm like the middle circle, and
she's the nucleus.
Yes, I'm the nucleus. And I say that to say is because you're going to see my village and how I developed it in different aspects and different shapes and forms of my life. So a little bit about me: born and raised in New York, moved here 20 something years ago. And not too long after moving here, I met Rosalind. And as we dive into stories, we will open up to how we met and things that we went through in order for us to build the village that, we have. So with that being said, I went on a mini emotional video still the other day about villages and redefining it. And when I kind of started the podcast, it was all focused on the kids and us leaving a legacy behind and things like that. And then it came to me. I said, what about us? What about us as legacy holders? We're also legacy keepers. We're trying to pass down traditions that were instilled with us from the beginning into a society that is not structured to accept what we feel is standard. I don't want to say formalities, but just common courtesies of life right now, right? Social media plays a huge role into how we can communicate with our children, with what they see, and not just children, just how we socialize with other adults, just period. And I felt like maybe we should give them a raw, authentic platform where they can see, hey, there's people out there that's just like you going through the same thing, and we don't need to pay a doctor $600 an hour to come and preach to you about anything. Like, kind of want to just sit and say, hey, we're human just like you are human, and you're not going through it alone. And let's build that community to where we can have these conversations and work together. So we know we can't get back what we had, but we can reposition ourselves to where we can do better and change how perspectives are seen. So, with that being said, I want us to speak from our legacy keepers' perspective. We're going to put ourselves in our children's shoes. We are the children now as we're reflecting. And the first question would be, what happened to the village that raised us? And all three of us came from different, you and Jahari are not too far off from each other, when you look at location, and I'm all the way on the eastern seaboard, northern wise, but I was raised by Southern grandparents and Caribbean grandparents. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how we dissect this and see where our village commonalities and then where it went and what we can do to kind of like turn it over to our kids to kind of try to give them a little of what we had. So I guess I'll say I was raised by my grandparents. I don't know what it's like to live with my mom. 10 years till I was like 10, I went to live with my dad and my stepmom when he got married. So being raised with grandparents is, that was an amazing life. Cousins. And so when I say I'm old school, I am so old school. Like my grandmothers would say, when you get married, you need to be up like 20 minutes before your husband get up, and he shouldn't see you with curlers, and like you're supposed to be up. I was raised with that. Like there was no such thing as eating out all the time. It was a surprise if we got McDonald's. Like, man, I would be so happy to get me a McDonald's Happy Meal. Like it was nothing. It was home cooked meals all the time. Somebody was always home at the house. Christmases, Thanksgiving, it was so family orientated because I lived with my grandparents and, oh gosh, I can't even, 2 cousins, 2 aunts and 3 uncles in a 4-bedroom house. Like, and to me, that's family. That was home, so, and you couldn't tell me there was anything wrong with that. I thought that was normal, so that's a little bit of, my village. And then I still had great grandparents and great great grandparents around up until recently. So what happened? Technology, and people got married and moved. And that's what I'm going to say. I think that played a critical role of technology. And especially once everybody started relocating, it made it a little harder for the village that I had to kind of stay together. So that's my little 2 cents on there as we dive into some more. Who's going to take the next?
Go ahead, Ms. Rosalind.
So first thing I want to say is, I get what you're saying. You're like, you thought that was normal, but let's try to get away from using the word normal because everybody's normal isn't the same. From lots of, I'm going to say, going through lots of therapizing. That is a word somewhere in somebody's dictionary.
In the village is a word. In the village dictionary.
Going through a lot of therapizing, I realized that like instead of me saying I just want to be normal, like I needed to say I want to be what feels normal for me.
Mhm.
Um, so I grew up in a single parent home. I'm the oldest of four. My mother has myself. I have a younger brother and two younger sisters, and I'm my father's only child. Um, he was a career army man, and I hate to say it, I don't have like I remember a lot. I remember some things from my childhood, but I think that I put a lot of things like I stuffed a lot of things in the back or in my brain storage unit and was just
Mhm.
like I'm not opening that stuff up again. Um so like I don't remember a whole lot. I remember when we lived in the country in little old Lot, Texas. Um my grandmother lived like across the street from us, and I remember coming home from school, walking down the street and passing her house, and I could smell hot water cornbread and sweet potatoes and cabbage. I'll go straight over to granny house and it was you cooking it up. And you go in there and be like, where did you get this from? Because like it seemed like there was nothing in there, but I don't know if she was a magician or or where she got this food from, but we always had food. She was always feeding us. Um, I learned to garden from my grandfather. Growing up in the country, you didn't have a whole lot to do. Uh-oh. We may have to start this and stop this and restart it. I just got a notification.
It's still going.
Um, what was I saying? Growing up in the country, like with my grandparents, it wasn't a
Mhm.
lot to do, and I, I I think I'm still the same way. I don't really like people like that. I'm not a very peoply person. And so I would spend time with my grandpa in the garden. I learned how to grow food. I learned how to take care of animals. I remember us having those nights where we spent the night at our grandparents' house. It'd be like 13, 14 of us in one bedroom, and we have pallets, and some of us be on the floor, some of us be on the bed, some of us be in the living room. Like I remember those types of things, and as my kids grew up, they they really didn't have that. They didn't have those types of memories, and I regret some of it. Um, Even though most of it was because we, like you were saying, the relocation. You're not close to anybody anymore. Um, People didn't talk on the phones. Everybody wanted to text, and I'm just like, if you can talk, I mean, if you can text, you can talk. So pick up the
Mhm.
phone and call and talk to us.
Mm.
I think I agree that technology and distance has had has put a strain on like keeping the legacy going and keeping those traditions and things like that. So we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back.